Happy Monday! Taking you to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. It's me, the Prep Queen. I am not that happy this Monday, to be completely honest with you. Okay, so we're going to talk about who pissed me off more yesterday. And let me tell you, it wasn't the Ravens. The Ravens didn't piss me off as much as somebody else. So we're going to get to that in this opening block of the show. In about 10 minutes, going to be joined by the great Mid-Major Matt. Mid-Major Matt is going to talk to us about some Monday Night Football props. We've got Major League Baseball to be looking at. Wild card starts tomorrow, which I will just say to the first 120 people watching the show that there's no show tomorrow. Because guess what? I'm going to the wild card game. Obviously, I actually haven't really been to many baseball games this year because I've been so focused on being here doing the Prep Queen pod. So I'm very excited to talk about Major League Baseball. And then at 5:30, we're going to be joined by Trinity Analytics, Jared Block. He's going to talk to us about some Monday Night Football props as well. And then we're going to put together our same game parlay, which I think I blew last week. So I also was the only one in the Bodega Locks. If you follow along at the Ringer podcast, guys and I, for our Ringer Sports Betting pod, the Sports Gambling pod. Marley, what are you doing, baby? The Ringer Sports Gambling Pod, we choose 5 picks a week for our Bodega Locks team in the Pick'em with Bill Simmons and crew. And we went 4-1. Or no, sorry, 3-2 because the Raiders lost. But I also gave out the Ravens because I really didn't think that it was going to look like that. I teased the Chiefs. With the Bears, so that was a winner. But the Ravens, it's like over. I mean, Matabike is out for the season. Lamar has a hamstring injury. Roquan has a hamstring injury. If you don't have Roquan, you don't have Matabike. You don't. Oh, sorry, Marley. You don't have Kyle Van Noy. Maybe he comes back soon. I'm missing one. Humphrey. I don't know how serious his injury is, but now Lamar's questionable going into the weekend. So the Ravens are toast. Absolute toast. So I'm over it. I actually shut the game off in the third quarter and didn't watch the rest. Like, I'm not kidding. I turned on Red Zone. So I'm going to tell you who pissed me off more than the Ravens yesterday. The freaking Tigers. The freaking Tigers pissed me off more yesterday. You know why? Because yesterday, at least if my pride and my ego and my favorite teams can't come through, at least my pocket should be filled. And guess what? It wasn't, because the Tigers lost us a plus 360 Central ticket after having a 14-game lead, 15-game lead, and you blow it. That's what pissed me off more than the Ravens yesterday, was blowing a plus 360 ticket when everybody was on the Royals preseason. Somehow the Twins were favored for some reason. I don't know why. It was Twins, Royals, and then it was the Tigers. And I was like, oh my God, the Tigers have great value. I never thought the Mets were making it in. I never thought the Mets were getting in. I liked everyone but the Mets. I didn't understand how their pitching would have ever gotten them through. And the only thing about the Mets pitching that had any chance would have been Kodai Senga. And he couldn't even stay on the freaking roster. So now you're relying on a bunch of guys who have never pitched well throughout their career. They all had one good career year, like last year. Sean Manaea every so often has a good year. But the Mets had no pitching. They were overachieving for a long time. The Tigers, now I don't know what to do about them. So I didn't want to be biased. I reached out to a few of my MLB people. The MLB researching crew. The crew that they don't have biases in the game. They go straight off numbers. And I said, who do you guys like in the wild card? They said the Yankees, the Guardians, the Dodgers, and the Padres. And I was like, I don't know. Am I being too biased towards my losses that I'm not going to put money on the Tigers anymore? Probably. I'm probably not going to put money on the Tigers because I'm mad at them, which is a bad excuse. Bad. But what do you guys say in the chat? Have you ever lost something? Like me, losing the Tigers at plus 360 to win the division. Something that they have been all over the entire season. The Tigers were winning the division all year. I thought, oh my gosh, this stinks, because at the All-Star break, The Tigers looked so good that I said there's no way they keep this up all year. And like they pretty much did. So once we hit September, I said there's no way I'd lose this Tigers ticket. Here I go, losing the freaking Tigers ticket at plus 360 to win the Central. I don't want to put money on them. My guy Gavin Williams is throwing tomorrow for the wild card game against Scoobel. Makes me a little worried. I could see the Tigers going up 1-0. But like, after that, the Guardians have been pitching better recently than the Tigers. Recently. I'm not saying all year. Recently. I don't know if I could trust the Tigers. I also don't really trust the Yankees. We all know how that is. That's why I have to bring on some non-biased people to talk about it, because I have way too much at stake in this game. The problem with the Yankees is everyone's boomer bust. We see it with Max Fried. Max Fried looks like an ace most of this year, but when he's a bust, it's a bad bust. And you can't win if Fried and Rodon, who are boomer bust, are going to bust. That sounds wrong, but you know what I mean. I'm just very worried. I'm very worried. The Red Sox have Garrett Crochet going against Max Fried. It's going to be a great pitching matchup. But I don't know if I could trust the Yankees about, like they've looked really good the last 2 weeks. They faced like the White Sox, the Orioles, the last 2 series. The bullpen, I'm very worried about. The Red Sox bullpen's been great. That's where I get a little bit worried. The Yankees cannot afford, it wouldn't surprise me if it goes to 3. But I trust the Yankees rotation deeper than the Red Sox. Like once the Red Sox go 1-2, if there's a game 3, I would trust the Yankees more just because I think they can get more out of a starter. So maybe the Yankees starting rotation goes deeper. The Yankees obviously have home field. You get all 3 games if you have to play 3. It's rough. I do like the Padres, Sean. But you know me. Now the Tigers are in the boat with the Padres. Can I go back and lose again on the Padres? It's just the value is there. I do see a world where the Dodgers get upset. I see a world where the Dodgers don't make it back to the World Series. I don't trust the Brewers ever because I feel like the Brewers are always the team that chokes. Same thing with the Mariners. 2 teams that just continue to choke. I loved the Phillies this year. Then they lost Zach Wheeler. And then I wasn't so sure if I loved the Phillies. But this next guest does love the Phillies. And we're going to bring him on. And we're going to talk about it. And we're going to get his thoughts on his team. Then maybe he could give us some good thoughts on my team, where you guys could find some value on the board. Let's bring him on. It's our great friend who comes on every Monday here on the show, Mid-Major Matt. Hi, Matt.
I don't trust the Phillies either.
No?
I never trust the Phillies. I'm like you. I can't. The last couple of years just did it for me. I mean, they were better than the Mets last year. They played terrible. They were better than the Diamondbacks 2 years ago. They played terrible. They were up 3-2 on the Astros in that series in the World Series, and then they blew it. So, like, I'm going in with low expectations. They could certainly win, but I'm not putting my own money on it. I'm definitely emotionally hedging every series the Phillies play.
It's how I feel. Like, these are 2 teams that, like the Yankees and the Phillies, 2 teams that when they're great, they're great. When they're bad, they're bad. There's no in between. There are other teams, right? The last few years, the Astros, when they had that great pitching staff that nobody could hit, you're like, I don't know how they don't make it. The Dodgers last year, a complete gauntlet. You kind of knew that the Dodgers were just going to plummet their way through they were just going to plow their way through the entire playoffs. Once it was anyone in the AL, you knew they were going to beat them. So like, I don't see a team this year that I'm confident putting my money on, because the Dodgers are always overpriced. Yankees are pretty much always overpriced. The Padres always blow it. The Mariners always blow it. The Tigers, I just lost my division ticket on them. Where do we go?
You know, it's funny. The Dodgers are actually almost a sleeper, it feels like. Like, nobody's really talking about the Dodgers in terms of, like, I mean, remember, we at the preseason, we thought this year was worthless. We shouldn't play this season. The Dodgers have 27 starting pitchers. They have a lineup that goes 17 deep. They bought everybody. And like, we thought this regular season was going to be worthless. And now the Dodgers, you know, they stumbled down the stretch. Dave Roberts is a bad manager, but like, they still have a great starting staff. They still have good relievers, even though the relievers have been terrible lately. And their lineup is still legit. I feel like we are undervaluing them. The funny thing is, I actually like the Reds a little bit in that series. I just think they're not afraid of the Dodgers. I love that starting staff that they have. So I think the winner of that series is going to be involved somehow in one of my futures. I just don't know who's going to win that series.
You really think that an inexperienced Reds team can keep up with the Dodgers?
I mean, their pitching staff's really good, though. I mean, our guy, Hunter Green, he won't be intimidated going to Dodger Stadium. Lodolo is usually good for 5 innings. And Andrew,
we don't mention him on the show.
Oh, I understand. I know we don't like him. Andrew Abbott has been pretty good. They have Littell if they want to go to him in game 3. He's a, mediocre pitcher. But the Reds go into this series knowing no one's going to pick them and no one's going to give them a chance. And
they're the biggest long shot right now to win the World Series at 35-1.
Right. That's why I think that they being the underdog, if they score early, and we know what Blake Snell can do. Blake Snell will go 5 innings most likely. He'll walk 4 people. He'll strike out 8 people. And then who knows how, if he strands guys, great. But if he doesn't, the Reds could get an early lead in that series.
I know we haven't mentioned the Toronto Blue Jays yet. Mark's getting mad in the chat. I can't believe that they won the American League East, but good for them. All the power to them. Do you trust the Blue Jays?
I mean, look, based off, it's tough because
they're plus 750 right now, which is the second best odds out of the AL to win the World Series. You almost feel I don't know if that's enough value for me on Toronto.
I mean, Gossman's an interesting guy because Gossman goes, he usually pitches really well or really bad. And Scherzer's old, but we know that Scherzer finds something for the postseason. And then there's our guy Bieber, who obviously has good stuff. He's not striking out as many guys as he has been. And then, do you trust Chris Bassett in a game 4? Do you go to Gossman on a short rest? I don't love the rotation. It's very veteran. Don't get me wrong. They haven't, the 3 of them have pitched a lot. And their bullpen, look, Jeff Hoffman has been all over the place this season. I've watched Sir Anthony as a Phillies fan. So they're just going to have to outslug a lot of teams and probably win some higher scoring games potentially.
I'm just trying to find anyone that I'd be willing to put any kind of money on. And the only value I see on the board is the Padres at 14-1 to win the World Series. Obviously, you can look to exact forecasts. You can look to some specials. I know that I have a lot of friends who do like to bet the division series, the series bets, which I'm trying to find on DraftKings, but I know New York is weird about that kind of stuff. I don't know if you saw any series bets that you would like to play or any look ahead spots for props.
It's so tough because, this is, as I've said all along, first off, if you're an Orioles fan, you should be furious because the Orioles, if the Orioles would have signed the right free agents, they would have been the best team in baseball. They had a lineup that was ridiculous and they had some decent relievers. They just needed to go and bring Burns back and they needed to go and get another free agent starter and they would have been the best team in the American League. They would have won that division easily and their ownership was cheap and they signed Charlie Morton and they signed Sugano and they said, we're just going to hope that our young players do well. And then Rodriguez got hurt and Bradish got hurt and all this stuff. But the Orioles should have been the 1 seed in the American League if they had spent right in the off season. But, this is one of those things where you go to your sports book and look for fun bets. I'm looking right now at a market on DraftKings team to progress further. I think there could be some value. I think this is the year. There's almost not a bad bet. Because every team has a weakness and every team has a strength. And so if somebody gets hot, you could get a very nice high-priced team at 12-1, 14-1. And then, you'll have hedging opportunities if you need to. But I just think this is where you get creative and find some things that you like based off of whoever you trust.
Matt, you know where I want to look for tomorrow's games?
Who do you want to look at?
You want to guess?
Your guy, Williams? Let's see. Not our guy Hunter Green, right?
Or
but Snell?
Max Fried over 5.5 strikeouts against the Red Sox.
God. So then he's going to get 4 or 6 then, or 5 or 6.
5 or 6. He's getting 5 or 6, and it's going to go down to the last 2 batters.
Over
minus 125, I think. It's not bad.
It's not terrible. His outs are 17 and a half.
The Red Sox strike out so much more against lefties, no?
They do, but it's Max Fried, and you know our luck with Max Fried. Like he will
But he's
get 5 or
home.
6. I get it. I get it. But I just Max Fried is, and if you look at the last couple starts against lefties, now Fried had 6 and 5 1/3 at Fenway. It looks like. I mean, the more power to you, but I can't get involved with Max Fried. I kind of like, and I wish this wasn't a back-to-back. Like Gavin Williams over 14 and a half outs at home. I trust him a little bit more, but I also hate the fact he literally just saw Detroit. And so they just saw me. He just had 12 strikeouts in 6 innings in Cleveland.
God.
So it's like, not only are we getting a back-to-back, but we're getting a back-to-back in the same building. So like that scares me a little bit.
Yeah, that definitely scares me on a back-to-back. Too, they're going to have a quick trigger on a young pitcher like Gavin Williams. Again, like they'll pull him 4 innings.
You know who actually I think has some value? So look, for the people who aren't as familiar, this is something real quick. Outs unders are probably more profitable than outs overs because the managers have such quick triggers.
Do you feel that way? Do you feel that way in game 1 as much as game 2?
Yes. I mean, I see Matthew Boyd under 14 and a half outs. Depending upon what the weather is tomorrow in Wrigley, depending upon what the lineup looks like I could see Matt Boyd going 4 innings. Like, I think Pivetta under 14 and a half outs. Like, that's not even terrible. Like, these are 2 guys that can go downhill very quickly. And if for some reason the wind's blowing out, I could see unders and both of these guys getting yanked rather quickly.
I know that we like to do these unders in the playoffs. In the wild card, it's definitely more of a crapshoot because you don't want to go down a game in the wild card. Divisional series, I would say any of these best of 7s too, like the ALCS, NLCS, the first couple of games, they're not going to be as quick to pull the trigger as they are once we start hitting games 4. Like game 4, like it depends on the way the series plays out. But these longer series aren't going to be as daunting early on for unders as much as like a wild card could be.
Right. I mean, look, you're going to have fresh pens. Everybody's going to have fresh pens. And so now you're sitting there with it. And we know, and I hate the fact that managers manage this way during the postseason, but not the regular season. But like, especially in Wrigley, if somebody, you know how those offenses can be in Wrigley. And if somebody gets hot, Pivetta, especially the Padres have 5 really good bullpen arms that they could just go line up 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. So, like, I could see the Padres especially going under on some of their outs because they have such good options behind them and they're so fresh right now.
I'm curious about a Guardians team total under for game 1. You've got to face Skubal, and they've averaged just under 4 runs a game this season, which is the fewest by an AL playoff team in a non-shortened season since the 1972 Tigers.
That's not terrible, but once again, how long is Skubal going, and what's the bullpen look like behind him? I'm assuming it'll be the best arms if it's close. Here's the other thing I would kind of look at, and some people
2.5 is the Guardians team total. That's crazy.
That's too low. I can't. I mean, if you want to look at a first 3 team total or a first 5 team total, I'm guessing the first 5 team total is 1.5.
Right.
I wouldn't hate that, but I'm not going 2.5 and inviting the rest of the Tigers bullpen, which has been good, but road game could be extra innings if it's lower scoring. And then you're starting to do, worry about that sort of thing. So I would isolate the first 3 or the first 5 if you really want to play Skubal.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying the Guardians not really being able to score. And we saw that kind of last year too in the playoffs, that it was not the biggest slugfest between these two, like the Yankees and the Guardians when they were playing. All right, we could go to Monday Night Football if you don't have anything else in Major League Baseball.
So the other thing I think that could be interesting is if you think some of these guys are going to get yanked early, you could always do a not to record win parlay.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, those things. Now, granted, look, I'm looking at some of the numbers here. They're very ugly. Like Gavin, this is interesting. Gavin Williams is yes to win at plus 487, no at minus 790. Like Gavin Williams is certainly possible to pitch well. I think,
and I hope he's not watching the show, but I do get nervous about a young pitcher like Gavin in a big spot against I don't care about the big spot as much, but I'm worrying about him seeing the same team twice, close together, and like him being as young as he is. Like that just kind of worries me in those situations, especially because he could throw a lot of pitches. He gets in and out of jams a lot.
I'm doing this. So I don't think since I think, and this is my personal handicap, since I think Pivetta and Boyd aren't going to last long, and let's say Gavin Williams, like you could get a decent parlay number on taking a couple guys to not win their game. Heck, if you don't think Scooble's going to win, that's a decent piece right there to throw into a no to
How'd
record the
Scooble
win
do in that
parlay.
last outing?
Scooble's last outing was 6 innings, 8 strikeouts. So he went over the 7.5. He gave up 3 runs and 4 hits.
He faced them twice in a row,
Yes,
September
so
18th and the 23rd. So this is going to be the third straight time in the third straight start that Scooble's getting the Guardians.
Yes, it is.
Jesus. And he's only allowed 1 run in both.
But he's so good that I'm not afraid of that per se. The funny thing is, what's funny? The last couple of starts, I feel like for him, he's not had a ton of strikeouts early, but as he's gone along, he started to add them up at the end. Because I feel like I've followed some of his starts and he has like 2 in the first 3 innings. And then all of a sudden, like through the 5th inning, he's got 5 and then it just keeps going over. So like Scooble might start slow strikeout wise and then go over. That's where you could also play a live strikeout market. Because I know DraftKings has.
Well, the total's only 6 in this Tigers Guardians game. And for seeing pitchers now 3rd straight time.
Sounds like you like the over.
I don't know. I'm just saying 6 sounds really freaking low.
6 is very low. All of them are low. 7, like the 7 in the Pivetta Boyd game, like the wind must be blowing in. I mean, that's just, I don't trust either of these 2 pitchers. And I think these lineups are decent enough, especially if there is wind in Wrigley, to go over a 7 rather easily.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I don't trust Matthew Boyd. Nick Pivetta, maybe. Oh, God. I'd say the only team, though, that I do see value on is the Padres. But again, this team burns me every freaking time. Every time.
I mean, I have the Padres to win the World Series and the National League. I took that. I mean, you and I talked about it like a month ago. So I'm sitting there with that ticket. It's an emotional hedge off my Phillies. But like, I don't know. I think their bullpen it could be a difference. And I think their lineup can be good enough if they have to. My question is, is Pivetta, Cease, Darvish, like, are they going to be good enough? And I don't know if that's the case.
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, I don't know how much that helped or hurt anybody's decision-making when it came to Major League Baseball this coming week. But it is definitely going to be like one of the most chaotic playoffs that we've seen. Let's go to Monday Night Football. We've got 2 relatively crappy games tonight. We've got the Dolphins taking on the Jets, and we've got the Bengals and the Broncos. It was kind of a tough prop market to get a handle on, but you've got a few things going. Let's pick it up. Waddle over 4.5 receptions and plus money. How come it's worth the value?
Wow, the plus money was intriguing. Plus, if you look at his history against the Jets, Hill could see a lot of sauce, and Waddle gets a lot of receptions. He's a guy that I think he's had like 8 or 9 in like 3 of the last 4 games against the Jets. So I don't understand the plus money on the over here, especially since he's been very busy already this season. Now, I think there could be a little wind and a little rain tonight, which is always in Florida, but like Waddle's a short reception type of guy. Like he can go across the middle, get a couple of 8 or 9 yard receptions here. So I think mostly this is a price play, but it also kind of goes along with the recent history of Waddle does better against the Jets than Tyreek Hill does.
Josh Reynolds, interesting one, right? You have Josh Reynolds over 16.5 receiving yards, low number. He's only got 3 targets this year, 2 receptions on 3 targets for 18 yards. How come tonight's the night?
So this is what I did a lot week 2 earlier this year when I had a pretty good week because I looked at that week 1. Reynolds has been out the last couple weeks, but if you look week 1, he played in 97% of the snaps. And I think he's going to play pretty close to that once again. It's not like he's overtaking anybody great. Tyler Johnson, Alan Lazard, like I don't think these guys are great. So I'm taking a shot here with the low number on a guy that was out there in almost all of the snaps for the Jets, and they're going to probably be behind. I think they're going to throw a bit. Dolphins secondary doesn't scare me. So like this is me just kind of hoping that all those snaps he took in week 1 seems like what he's going to do here, and then he pays it off because he went over this number in week 1.
Yeah, he's good for a good deep ball, so he could go over this for sure in 1 catch as long as he gets the targets now that his quarterback's back. How much do you see the return of Justin Fields helping the Jets at all?
I mean, the Dolphins defense is terrible. I was kind of hoping he would stay out so Tyrod could start this game and I could start Tyrod in fantasy. Don't ask. It's been a rough year.
Clearly.
But like, I feel like the Dolphins defense is just not very good. Like this could have sneaky potential to see a lot of points in both sides because I don't trust either defense. But I think Justin Fields can run for a touchdown, maybe throw for another one. I think, we could see a bunch of points in this game potentially. Of course, we could also see none because none of these offenses are that great and they can't overcome bad defenses. But remember that offensive genius, Mike McDaniel, is coach in Miami there.
There are a lot of people going around saying that they feel that if Mike McDaniel loses this game to the Jets, which I also saw a stat about how Tua is 5-0 straight up, 3-2 against the spread against the Jets. If Mike McDaniel loses to the Jets, it feels like rock bottom.
Yeah, but you're not going to fire him on a short week. Your opportunity to fire him was last week when you played on a Thursday night game. You had the extra time to get a new coach in. So if that was your plan, you should have done it last week when you had extra time. Now you have a short week to prepare for the Panthers on the road. You should have done it already if you were going to fire the guy.
It's not like they're playing on Thursday.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I get it. He probably should have been gone, but like that Bills game would probably have been the better time to do it, not now.
So you don't think that McDaniels gets fired?
Unless they get shut out or unless it's really ugly.
Is it McDaniels or is it Tua or the defense?
I don't know.
Are we saying that it's McDaniels' fault for not? Well, I guess Tua had the concussion problem and then the defense just never got better. Like, I mean, I guess when you have talent and it doesn't get better, which is what we say about John Harbaugh, then it's a coaching problem.
Right. But well, it's always a coaching problem. It's never a quarterback issue. That's the thing. I'm just saying, in the NFL, what do people call up on a Monday and say, well, hey, Brian Dable's terrible, or, somebody else is terrible. Brian Kelly's terrible for LSU. Like, people blame the coaches. It's never on the players. It feels like.
People hated Daniel Jones.
They hated Daniel Jones, but now look at him.
I know. Coaching problem. Last one before I let you go. You've got your kicker prop. I forget. What do you call yourself?
The Whisperer.
Kicker Whisperer.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, let's over 2.5 extra points made. That's a unique market.
I mean, the Bengals defense is bad. The Broncos offense needs to get going. I think Will Lutz makes 2.5. Makes 3 extra points. Now, the one thing
I'm scoring for those Broncos.
Well, if they can't do that against Cincinnati, then I'd be a lot. See, it's funny because I was the guy this offseason who was against. Remember, all the people were like, "Oh, the Broncos is going to be best team in the AFC, going to be awesome," and they still could. But they're 1-2
I always
so
like the
far.
Chargers. Not that I'm saying it's a good time to say that, but we all kind of knew the books needed the Giants bad yesterday.
Well, yeah, of course. And Jackson Dart's a hero and all that stuff. But like basically, if the Broncos can't put up 28 points on the Bengals, like that's going to be a problem. And then they fly short week to Philadelphia to lose the Eagles. So they could be in trouble if they don't win tonight. Yeah,
they should. And like Matt said here, I do like Bo Nix to have 2 or more passing touchdowns. I gave that out in the newsletter this morning. The Bengals have been one of the worst defenses in protecting against passing touchdowns this season. So those extra points, they could work out, but you need one more. You need one more touchdown than me.
Give a J.K. Dobbins rushing touchdown then.
I would love that for him. I hope that he has a better year because his injuries were very sad as a Ravens fan, just like being a Ravens fan. Sports Guru said that the Eagles are due to lose. They did. They lost to the Browns.
No, we didn't.
No, wait.
Who lost to the Browns?
Sorry, the Packers lost to the Browns. Sorry, wrong green team.
Remember another team that everybody put in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, sorry. That's what I was thinking of was the Packers game with the green and everyone having them in Survivor and all that stuff. Yeah.
No, Guru's right. The Eagles are due to lose. They just find ways to win. I mean, that's just the way it is. They played terrible in the second half. They played terrible, but
what is it now? 19 straight or something? What's the crazy number?
19-1 in their last 20. Yeah. I don't know what it's like to lose. We haven't lost in a while, so like I don't know what that's like. It's going to be weird when it finally happens.
Well, it's great that you have a shit division, so lucky you.
Whoa. Dallas tied last night, and the Commanders are...
the Packers played to lose last night. Sorry, they played to tie.
They should have lost. That was embarrassing.
Shawn Michael, and you get to go head-to-head in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lions outdoors in Philly. Good luck.
I love it. Oh, God, I need Shawn Michael to lose. Mid-Major Matt, thank you so much, as always, for coming on. We'll see you again on Friday. Good luck to those Pats.
Yeah, thank you.
Coming up now, our same guest that comes on Mondays as well. We put together our little SGP. I actually have zero clue what he likes today. I didn't ask. I was very busy. I was on phone calls all day. Sean, just because you're talking crap about the Ravens, it doesn't affect me anymore. I don't care. I'm done. Like, I'm over it. I literally shut the game off. When you shut a game off in the third quarter on your own team, you know you're over it. I'm over it. They're all hurt. They suck. The only way to make a change is if you suck bad enough for them to have to make a change. I was kind of hoping that would happen to the Yankees, and it's clearly not happening. Watch the Yankees go back to like the ALCS or something. Moon will stay back, and we'll go through the same rigmarole that we did again. But at least the Ravens now, it's not looking good. John Harbaugh seems to be on the hot seat, but we'll see. That's not the conversation for right now. The conversation is, how do we make money tonight? Joining us from Trinity Analytics is my good friend Jared Block to help us out with that. Happy Monday, Jared.
Is it a happy Monday? I don't know if we can. Both of us can say that.
The happiest thing to happen to my Sunday was Juan Soto missing the playoffs.
Yeah, that's always good.
Not the Mets. I don't hate the Mets. I hate Juan Soto.
Well, you got to turn your TV off and watch your team lose. I had to stay up late and watch my team suffer through 5 quarters and then tie. So
you're a Packers fan, right?
Yeah, I am.
So my good friend Brett is also a Packers fan. And not only is he a Packers fan, he decided to make the bold choice in choosing the Packers in Survivor, Survivor wonderful. Yesterday.
Yeah.
So not only is a tie a loss in Survivor at Circa, he now lost his dignity for his team, and he lost 2 Survivor plays last night.
Yeah, it's only like perfect for the NFL script for Jerry Jones to win a situation like that, and you could see that coming from a mile away.
But why the hell did your team play for a tie? I mean, the clock management with 13 seconds left was just terrible.
Yep. And we have the worst special teams unit in the league, so it's gonna lose you games. We should be 4-0, and now we are 2-1-1.
It was a very bad performance, mostly really by the Packers, because honestly, the Cowboys overachieved last night as 6.5-point home dogs in prime time.
They certainly did. Speaking of dogs today, I think that this is a really, really, obviously it's a gross slate. I mean, anybody can tell you that. A lot of bad offenses are playing tonight, but it does feel like the Jets have a really good shot at winning this game tonight.
Ooh, why?
I think that we have seen 3 examples of really weird Jets games, and eventually at some point we're going to start to see some traction, and I think they do have a get right spot of sorts. I know it's a division game, but most of their games have either been at least with Justin Fields have been extreme polar opposites, right? We had a shootout and then we had a blowout. So I do think that with him getting back here with the full week of practice, I see a little bit more consistency in their play. I think this is a great spot for Breece Hall to get right. He hasn't really been a huge passing threat this season so far, but I think tonight's the night to do that. And I just think that Miami is just not a good football team. So I do think that the Jets can get a nice step forward here, and I do think this is a get right Justin Fields.
What props would you use then to back up the Jets potentially winning?
I do really like the Breece Hall passing stuff. We just saw James Cook absolutely demolish the Dolphins as a home favorite. I know that this is 2 different, it's apples to oranges, Bills and Jets, but I like this spot for Breece. He completely has the running back room. I was coming in this season thinking Braylon Allen was going to get more touches through 3 games. That's not the story. And I do think that if we get a spot where Breece Hall has a competitive game for 4 quarters, he can get to the 20-touch load. He has not been efficient on the ground. That's not really where I want it necessarily. I guess we could play rush plus receiving, but I think
I love his receiving tonight.
I think what the move is you take Breece catches, you take him to get over his receiving prop. I think it's around 21 yards. Miami's allowed 50-plus receiving yards a game to opposing running backs. So I think that's the move there.
No, I 100% agree. I said that also in the newsletter, but I think I think Matt was saying it in the chat. I was looking at Pikkit, which has all the best lines in the market, and I'm pretty sure that the books mispriced Breece Hall this morning. because I didn't bet it on time, which I wish I did, because then I would have had the ticket to prove it. But I ended up having to take my dog out to the park because she was annoying the hell out of me. And I just didn't end up betting it in time. But this morning, I have it written down 9.5 and 10.5 receiving yards. And that number is obviously up to 20.5. So I think something happened.
Something definitely happened. I think that this is, I think, well, actually, I already gave this out to Trinity Analytics members, but I used my ladder play tonight. I think he has a shot at 50+ receiving yards.
Wow. Okay. That's
outside shot. Break one. Keep going.
Well, I was looking at his numbers from when he faces any kind of defense that's bottom 10 against pass catching backs dating back to last year. And he had 21 plus in 4 of 6. He had at least 21 receiving yards in. And 4 of the 6 running backs to face Miami this year have gone over their receiving yards prop.
Right. That's the one that I like that second stat a little bit more, just because it shows how clearly terrible their defense is against running backs in space. I think that we have seen, like I said, like 3 really weird Jets games, and I think at some point things will regress, or else I'm just, I'll just eat that take, I guess, because I think the Jets are better than what they've shown through 3 weeks.
Ooh, okay. And I mean, listen, 2.5 is a decent teaser spot, but I don't know how much. I mean, maybe you could, if you really wanted to tease the Broncos down, maybe you could do a teaser that way for tonight's game. But I don't really like to bet wide receivers outside of longest reception props if I find some kind of edge. I'll turn to you. What wide receivers would you look at tonight for overs or unders?
Oh, this is a really tough slate for wide receivers. I'm completely kind of just on the fade territory for the Bengals here. They're just coming off one of their worst losses in their actual existence, and I just don't think anything gets easier going into Denver on prime time. I know that Denver hasn't, like, I caught the tail end of what Matt was saying about Denver, and I do think that they came in extremely overhyped to be one of the best teams in the AFC, but at the same time, I think that they have a better defense than the Vikings did. And they obviously just did anything that they had to do against Cincinnati last week. So there are many ways for Jake Browning to pumpkin. I think that he could definitely do that tonight. I'm actually honestly even considering T. Higgins unders. I don't like it. I don't love it necessarily, but he has 1 touchdown for what it's worth, so I give him credit for that. But you take that away, and he has like 5 catches for 20 yards this season. So I don't know. I'm a little bit off on the wide receiver market today. There's nothing that really stands out to me outside of like Wilson receptions, just because that's been a market that's trended well with Justin Fields so far in limited space. I think that the only one that really makes sense is Cortland Sutton, just because I do think that you take the actual team total. And I do think that, are you in agreement that they're able to hit 25+ points tonight? Do you have a read on that?
For the Jets?
For Denver?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that against the Bengals defense. That's terrible, especially against the pass. I like Bo Nix tonight a lot for a lot of overs, especially his passing touchdowns over. So I could definitely see this one going over against the Bengals, because the Broncos, most of their game is going to be to try to throw the football anyway.
Right.
And that's exactly where the Bengals' weakness is. The latter play, by the way, AOD, was Breece Hall on the Jets over his receiving yards. That was his latter play for Jared. Yep. Chase Brown, do you think 20 receiving yards?
Oh, man. He's caught 2 balls in every game this season, and that's good. I mean, obviously he has the good role there. Samaje Perine is banged up a little bit. He doesn't have a designation, but he did have a hand issue, so maybe that gives him a couple more pass catching snaps. But I still think that Brown, 80% running back touches on the team so far. He's running around 40% of the time whenever Browning drops back. You have the right script for it. I just don't know how much I love it. Like, I think 3 for 25 through the air for Brown is completely in play, but I don't really think there's much room there.
Let's put together our SGP like we always do every Monday. And let me get the Pikkit app up so that we can use Pikkit. And I was looking at some stuff on props.cash today that was pretty helpful in deciding certain things, like certain primetime numbers. I did see the Bo Nix over 1.5 passing touchdowns in 5 of 7 games when he's faced teams that are bottom 10 in passing touchdowns allowed. Bo Nix has gone over. So that was intriguing. And he's gone under 5.5 rush attempts, according to props.cash, in 2 of 3 primetime games. So I thought that was intriguing as well for Bo Nix. So we'll do SGP, starting with this Jets game. And obviously wait, let me share the screen. Share. Not that. Remove that. Jared's back. Okay. So let's start with props.cash and figuring out which props that we want. So we'll start with the receiving yards for Breece Hall because we're both on the same page there for Breece Hall. So Breece Hall over receiving yards. Which number do you want?
What number do I want? I think that I'm willing to go out on a limb and go over 24.5.
Okay, some plus money there. Over 24.5 receiving yards for Breece Hall. Anything else in this game? Did you want to take the 3 with the Jets?
I do. I like that number a lot. I think that I know it's a division game, but I'll give the dog a shot here. And not that we need to go that far into it, but the refs are very, very big underdog refs in terms of the spread.
Okay. What props did you like most for this Bengals-Broncos game?
Let's see. I think what I like the most is the Dobbins touchdown. I think the last time I checked was like a minus 120 situation.
Minus 115 on FanDuel, so we could add that in.
Yeah, that's what, if we're expecting the Broncos to score 25 plus points, I find it hard to believe that Dobbins, who's, got 75% of the inside the 5 carries, can't get in there.
4 legs here is 11-1 if we want to get and I added Bo Nix over passing touchdowns because I like that one. Okay. Do we want to add in the Broncos team total, or do we want to just keep it 4 legs?
I think we just keep it 4 legs because
it's a nice payout. 11-1.
It's a nice one.
Just I think under 12-1 for that.
There's still a world where they could underperform in a spot like this where we just saw the Bengals lose by like 45 points, and if they scored 24, we would lose that bet even if both of our Broncos players scored.
Well, this is what's crazy. So I love on Pikkit that you can use the app and it tells you when you put your SGP in, it tells you where you could go. And sometimes you have to change certain numbers. Like it'll sometimes tell me, okay, maybe Breece Hall, I have to get at 23.5, but overall it'll give me better odds for the payout. Like It didn't do that, but I'm just saying hypothetically, it will tell you where you get your best payout for the players and what you're looking for. So this, for us to get Bo Nix over passing touchdowns, Dobbins anytime touchdown, Jets +3, oy vey, and Breece Hall receiving yards over 24.5. We get it at just under 12-1. So that'd be a nice little payout, and I'm going to bet it tonight for $100.
Certainly would be.
If the Jets don't cover and we go into the night game with nothing, I'm going to be upset. I'm just kidding. I mean, a little bit upset. I love it. It's fun, though. I love it. And I understand what you're saying with the Jets. Do you have any concerns about how Tua is 3-0 against the Jets straight up and 3-2 straight against the spread?
Not really. I think that there's just for me, this is more of a bet on the fact that the Dolphins just don't have a back end, and I just feel like at some point, I do think that they. So I will give them credit, and I will say they definitely did impress against the Bills. And I just think that, division games should probably be treated a bit differently when it comes to spread stuff. So I get it. I just am believing in the Jets, and that probably results in a failure for me.
Okay. And by the way, Book It Trent just had the Dolphins and the Bengals on his card tonight.
Hey,
so
I wasn't going to say it, but that helps me. It helps my confidence.
Even though he had the Chiefs yesterday. So he's actually been having a pretty decent season, which is unfortunate for all of us faders. Jared Block, what else should everybody know? Where can they find you? What do you have going on right now?
I am we are gearing up for the MLB postseason, so very excited about that. I'll give you my head and heart predictions in a moment, but you can find us at thetrinityanalytics.com. You can follow me on X at Jared R. Block, Trinity Analytics on X as well. I obviously am a Brewers fan, and I think both one seeds in the NL and AL have not shown any confidence whatsoever in terms of that market. So my heart World Series prediction is Brewers Mariners because I'm rooting for Seattle out there. But my head says that you can get a really, really good price on the Cleveland Guardians, who have arguably been the hottest team in baseball the last 2 weeks. And I do think the Phillies come out in terms of like best team on paper in the NL.
My heart actually outside of the Yankees, because that's obvious, but I actually really would love to see a Mariners and Padres World Series. I just feel like those two teams on paper are great and are so overdue for overachieving because they always underachieve despite having great lineups. So, and great rosters and great pitching. And I just don't understand why neither of those teams have been able to get over the hump. And I feel like as a baseball lover, seeing those two get over the hump would actually make me happy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously the Seattle Mariners have, just hit a stone wall with the Astros, and they finally were able to break through and win that series. And then eventually, obviously, now the Astros are gone. So this is their spot. This is their chance.
I don't know if you've looked at this. Any wild card spots, whether it's series, props that you would look at for going into tomorrow?
Haven't looked too much. I was going to do a lot more digging after the NFL stuff locked tonight, but I just think that maybe not this time around, maybe not in the wild card, but I think we're the majority of the country, probably 99-1, is going to say the Dodgers win in 2 games. I don't know. I think that the Reds can, with Hunter Green and with Chase Burns in the back end, like they have a shot of at least pulling off some kind of upset here. So I feel like if you're going to take like a long shot bet on something, it would be for the Reds to win the series, and you're probably going to get that at really good plus money.
You and Mid-Major Matt, you both think that way with the Cincinnati Reds.
Nice.
You're right.
All
the Dodgers are probably going to be the most public side for winning the series.
And I think
that's
throw it
in some silly parlay if they can.
My whole thing with the Dodgers, I think that they probably win this series, but it's a good price to get the Reds on. I think
the Dodgers do get upset by somebody.
Right. I just don't think that you can't pitch a combination of Shohei, Snell, and Yamamoto for every single game, every single inning. At some point, that's going to get exposed.
Yeah. Nope. The Dodgers, especially with Dave Roberts, they always seem to find a way to win a World Series, get to the World Series, and then they somehow get upset in the next series, like the next year. Even though they're great and they always end up making it far, but someone is going to pull that upset. Just a matter of
it's almost impossible to win 2 back-to-back titles. So
it's very hard to do. Jared Black, thank you so much for coming over here from Trinity Analytics. We will see you again next week.
Let's have a great night.
Prop Queen Edges of the day. Let me tweet it out. I've only got some NFL for tonight. I've got to really dig deeper into Major League Baseball, but I do have some stats that I could give you. Prop Queen Edges for tonight and Monday Night Football coming up now. So I'll go through Monday Night Football card real quick, tell you everything I saw, and then we can go from there and see if there's anything in Major League Baseball. You guys already saw that I do really like the Breece Hall number on his over 23.5 for his receiving yards. So I'll go through more. Okay, a new one. So you guys might laugh. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. His rushing yard prop is a half a rushing yard. I know that the Dolphins want to protect Tua. They don't want him to run. You want him to make sure he doesn't get his head knocked off. Fine. Tua's gone over a half a rushing yard in 4 of 5 home primetime games dating back to 2021, averaging just under 11 yards per game. In the last 2 seasons, when facing defenses that allow some of the most rushing yards per game to quarterbacks, Tua, 2 for 10, 1 for 11. So, obviously, as long as he has, 1 first down run, then you can get over a half a yard. And then, yeah, sure, knees, whatever. But, he's not going to probably lose 11 yards like Mahomes did in the Super Bowl. The Jets have allowed the 3rd most rushing yards per game to quarterbacks this year. It's why 2 of the 3 quarterbacks to face the Jets went over. Baker Mayfield, 44 rushing yards. Josh Allen, 59. Aaron Rodgers Didn't go over his half a rushing yard. His prop was a half a rushing yard, Rodgers. He had -1. But I'm just saying, like, it's only a half a yard, and all Tua has to do to try to make sure they don't lose to the Jets is run for 1 first down. Justin Fields, if you want a value play, it's close to 2-1 last I saw. Justin Fields over 1.5 passing touchdowns. He did throw 2 touchdowns in the Steelers game, so it's possible. Miami has allowed an average of 2 passing touchdowns per game, tied for 5th most this season. Josh Allen had 3. Drake May had 2 against this Miami defense, who's been terrible. If we think Breece Hall is even going to take more balls out of the backfield in this game, and they don't run as much because Miami is better against the run than the pass, Justin Fields over 1.5 passing TDs. Then the Breece Hall number, dating back to last year, he went 4 of 6 over 21.5 receiving yards. The Dolphins have allowed the 3rd most receiving yards per game to running backs this year. 4 of the 6 backs to face the Dolphins have gone over their receiving yards prop this season. Some other things to note, the Jets are allowing the most rush attempts per game to running backs. Miami has allowed the 4th least pass attempts per game. Miami's allowed the 3rd most rush attempts to quarterbacks. The Dolphins allow the 4th most receiving yards per game to tight ends, but the 5th least to wide receivers. So I was looking at the Jets tight end, Mason Taylor. His number is 19.5. I thought that was a little bit too high, but maybe it's high for a reason. Again, they've been very bad this year against the tight end. Bengals, Broncos props. Bo Nix over 1.5 passing touchdowns. This went from +100 to -106. Nix has gone over this in 5 of 7 games when facing teams bottom 10 in passing touchdowns allowed. He had 3 at Cincinnati last year. The Bengals are tied for the 5th most passing touchdowns allowed per game. 2 of the 3 quarterbacks to face the Bengals so far this season went over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Carson Wentz had 2. Trevor Lawrence had 3. Joe Flacco went under with just 1. You could look to an under for Bo Nix, 5.5 rush attempts since the start of last season when Nix is up against defenses top 10 in rush attempts allowed to quarterbacks. Nix has gone under in 3 of 5 games. I will show you on props.cash as well the primetime numbers. Let me share the screen. Rush attempts. Bo Nix. Share screen. Sorry, my makeup got on my eyelid, so that's kind of bothering me. Share screen. Props.cash. So this is the stuff that I love on props.cash because I used to have to go through this freaking game by game by game, and I would have to see which was a prime time and which wasn't. But props.cash tells you. So let's look at 2024 primetime games. This number actually, oh, wow. Now it's 4.5. It was 5.5 today. Now it's 4.5. Maybe you could find a 5.5 still. But look at this. Primetime games. 3 rush attempts in 2 of the 3 last year. Not running as much. At home versus away. It's kind of even. Average 5.4 at home last year. 5.3 on the road. So it's about even there. But home, primetime games, he only had 3 last year in that one home primetime game. So, again, it doesn't seem, and if Bo Nix can attack the secondary in Miami, which is clearly where they struggle, why would he run? So you go Bo Nix under his 5.5 rush attempts if you could still find that. But yeah, props.cash. Use promo code PropQueen, get 50% off your first month. You can find these things. It's awesome. And look, you can also see here on the side how often other quarterbacks ended up going over or under that rush attempts prop. So if I look at quarterbacks this season, all 3 have gone under their rush attempts. Carson Wentz, Trevor Lawrence, and Joe Flacco all went under. You see all that red on the right there? That tells you on props.cash, under. I don't kind of mind the under 4.5 in plus money. Look, the number is really 3. The magic number seems to be 3. Obviously, I'm just saying 5.5 rush attempts was the number I saw this morning, and it wasn't even, it was minus 126 this morning to the under. So I don't know if it got juiced up, and you could still take it at maybe minus 135. You could shop around. But Bo Nix under his rush attempts tonight. Again, look, Carson Wentz, Trevor Lawrence, and Joe Flacco, 2 rush attempts. The reason I like the under rush attempts is because you don't want Bo Nix to have one big run. So at least if he has one big run, who cares? He can go over his rushing yards prop. It's just the attempt that we care about. And it doesn't seem like Bo Nix attempts it much in primetime. Nonetheless, at home, And if, again, he's going to get a bad secondary, why not just stay in the pocket and throw the football? So under rush attempts there on Bo Nix. Jake Browning under 10.5 rushing yards you could look at, but it's not really a big sample size. It's just Denver has allowed the least rushing yards per game to quarterbacks this year. Chase Brown under 2.5 receptions was plus 146. Browns had just 2 receptions in games 1 and 2. He had 4 his last start, but now you're getting Denver, and the Broncos allow the 5th least receptions per game to running backs. They've got a great front 7. They have for years. 3 of the 4 running backs to face Denver have gone under their receptions prop this year. Najee Harris had 0. Amarion Hampton had 6. He was the only one to go over. Jonathan Taylor went under with 2, and Tony Pollard went under with 1. So you could look to Chase Brown under his receptions tonight. The other notes that I have, the Bengals have allowed the 3rd least rushing yards per game to quarterbacks, and the Bengals have allowed the 4th least rush attempts to running backs. So those are some other stats that you could look at. Oh, Browning went down too. Oh, I haven't checked any of these updated numbers. I really should have, but I ran out of time. Those were the numbers from this morning. So at least we're moving in the right direction. I have to think of my Royal Locks. Okay, I'm ready. Royal Locks. Royal Lock of the day. Bo Nix over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I love this. He's gone over in 5 of 7 when facing teams that are bad against passing touchdowns. He also went over, had 3 against Cincinnati last year, and that was in Cincy. Cincinnati tied for 5th most passing touchdowns allowed at 2 a game. 2 of the 3 quarterbacks to face him went over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Carson Wentz, Trevor Lawrence, they both had 2 and 3. Bo Nix is going to do it tonight. He's going to show up, show out. They're 7.5-point favorites. So we're going to go over 1.5 passing touchdowns for Bo Nix tonight as my Royal Lock. In the first game, I would say the Royal Lock would be the Breece Hall over his receiving yards if you could get a good number on it. But unfortunately, I feel like the key number is 21, and now that number got a little too high for me. But Jared Block did say it was his ladder play, and he does feel like Breece Hall could have 50 receiving yards tonight. So take with that what you may. Good luck to all your bets tonight, everybody. We will see you tomorrow. Oh, sorry. No show tomorrow. I will be at the Yankees-Red Sox wild card game. So no show tomorrow. I probably will maybe record something and post it to the YouTube page of a baseball preview. So you can look at the Prop Queen Sports YouTube page, subscribe, like. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, so ask your friends. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, so that would be awesome. Go to the YouTube page. I'll post something tomorrow about some Major League Baseball stuff, and we'll go from there. Good luck to your bets tonight, everybody. Happy Monday Night Football.